Now, I think it is abundantly clear to everyone here in Las Vegas, Nevada, that we have a bit of an issue, and it's a glaring issue that I feel really needs to be addressed, and that is the homelessness issue. Now, the homelessness issue right here is an issue that stems all the way back to the 1900s, with a lot of crisis involving financial stuff like the Great Depression, among other things, such as people losing their jobs after war, like after World War II, and all that stuff with veterans. That has left all states across the United States in a state of disarray. And it's even very much so apparent in Las Vegas, Nevada. There are over 6,566 people that are homeless on any given night here in Las Vegas. 794 of those are children, and 28% of people in Southern Nevada are chronically homeless. Now, I see that as a big problem. Do you? Do your senators? Well, let's talk about it. Now, I think an important question that needs to be asked is, what is homelessness and who can it happen to? All right, now homelessness is pretty much being when you don't have a steady and stable residence to reside in, such as a house or an apartment or any college living or anything of the sort. Right? So at that point, you're sleeping on the streets or encampments or cars, or if you're rooming with someone, unless it's a formal agreement, then you're just kind of just couching there and you're without a home. You're homeless. And it can happen to everyone. Adults, families with kids, unaccompanied youths, especially the veterans. Veterans are severely mistreated after, there's terms of service. And I think it is really very much so disrespectful. And as well, the chronically homeless, which are white males from ages 35 to 64. And that's a majority. But it can happen to absolutely anybody. And anybody is prone to experience that at any point in their lives. No matter how things are or how good they are with them. When something bad happens, it's a setup for potentially being prone and vulnerable to homelessness. Let's circle back to a second to the topic of veterans. Now, veterans, that topic is a little bit personal to me because I have a veteran in my family. He served as a doctor, like a doctor for all the soldiers and all that, on a boat. And, he was never, to my knowledge, homeless because he had the support of my family. But I know a lot of veterans do go through that thing. And based on endhomelessness.org, which seemed to be a reliable source, on a single night in January 2023, almost 36,000 veterans were experiencing homelessness. Most of them a good chunk of them were sheltered, pretty much most of them, or more than half of them, but about almost 16,000 were shelterless and were on the streets in the cold, because January around that time, it is very much so cold. And as individuals, pretty much 98% of veterans experience homelessness, as in they have no one else to turn to. It was just them listening to the military and coming back. And 30% had experienced issues with chronic patterns of homelessness, meaning they never truly leave it. And it is heartbreaking to hear because these people, not even the people who served our country, who fought in wars overseas, potentially losing their lives for all of us here, sitting in the comfort of our homes in America. These guys can't even find affordable housing or have a lot of help to really get them back on their feet and find them a home, which truly is very much so sad. I mean, luckily, programs are popping up around the United States. including Nevada. But again, this truly is an issue due to the sheer scale and how, in reality, this just shows you, even if you put your body on the line for the country, nobody is safe. Nobody is safe from this experience of homelessness. Anybody can feel it at any time, and it is a serious issue. I'd like to get a little personal with you all for just a minute, and I'd like to call this a little anecdote for myself. Now, what I'm about to put on screen here is a picture of me. It's a little picture of me in which I cropped out all the faces, all the bodies, and all the children. And it's just little me. Now, for context, I used to live in the country known as the Philippines. And the Philippines is a third world country residing in Asia. And to be perfectly fair, if you are not in the part of the Philippines in which you have a house and you're well off for yourself and you have decent finances, it's pretty much a lot. And I mean emphasis on a lot. Really, like, look at me for a second here, right? I have a lazy eye, but look at me for a second. There is a lot of homeless people residing in the Philippines. Apologies if I got a little close there, but that was just to drive the point home. Now, basically, the context of those pictures, we see little me is back when I used to live in the Philippines, before I moved to America, when I was about 10 years old. I, myself, along with my mother and my grandmother, went to an orphanage, and we helped serve the kids, and we helped serve the nearby people who were in need. And I'd like to tell you just straight up, just straight raw emotion, it didn't do much to me before when I was a kid. I was just thinking like, oh, that was fun, and I'm glad I got to help people. But now, as I spent all these months, researching and recording about this topic, it sort of struck me deeper as it brought to me the sheer magnitude of what I was doing. I was genuinely helping out and to help these little kids, like I'm sitting down right now, but they're still probably like shorter than me. But these little kids, they don't have a home, and they don't have parents who will take them in for whatever reason, and which I don't judge, whatever reason you may be experiencing, like hardships or anything like that, or you're not able to financially support a kid, then, obviously you have to put them up for adoption. But, you can't help but feel bad for the little ones, the youngins who are forced to be homeless. They don't have a home of their own, a warm, safe house of their own. I just wanted to share about why this issue had a lot of magnitude to me, because I have seen firsthand the effects of homelessness and who it could affect, as well as the types of people it affect, and it's a lot of children. I myself, I have never, fortunately enough, had to go through homelessness at the time, which I have good parents and well-off parents, and I'm just very fortunate to be in the circumstance to where I have nice things, I have a nice home, I have a roof over my head. But not all people get that luxury. Some have to sit in the streets, and some live in shelters like orphanages, homeless shelters, things of the sort. And some thrive off of the money that you simply give them as you're passing by, not even giving a second glance about it, seemingly to forget about 5 minutes later. And it's really, 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 really unfortunate that a lot of people have to go through that circumstance. I felt bad for homeless people whenever I saw them. And, after my parents told me to walk up, give them a little bit of money, I didn't realize it at the time, but I felt a great remorse for those people, because they we're not lucky and we're not fortunate like the rest of us to have these amenities, which are seen as luxury to them because of the fact that they really do not have access to that. And really overall, it put a sense of perspective in my head of like, hey, no matter how tough things get, you really have to be fortunate and thankful about what you have, because not all people have that same thing. And that was just a bit of a personal quip, and I'll get back to the actual numbers and things like that. At this point, I talked a lot about the problem, but not the solution. So some people may be asking, George, this all sounds terrible. What in the world is being done to help this problem? Well, steps are being made to help by our senators and our council people. For example, as I'll show up on here, Jackie Rosen and Catherine Cortez Mazda, both here from Nevada, have given over at least $43 million in housing grants, in Nevada, which is a great thing. It's a lot of money going to a lot of people, and a lot of money which could help people get homes and help people get off the streets and into housing and into shelters, and to lower the prices of the housing. And according to Senator Rosen herself, she has stated that Nevada is facing a housing crisis. I'm doing everything I can to help lower costs and provide relief to hardworking families. I'm proud to have helped secure this funding to increase affordable housing options throughout our state. I'll keep working at the federal level to also lower costs so owning and renting a home can be more affordable. And, that's the thing, our senators have already done a fair good bit to help out and to help lessen the blow that homelessness has had over our community. But, that's not going to be enough. The senators work alone, and, straight observation is not going to be enough. Call this a bit of a stand to action, if you will, a call to action. In reality, what we should be doing as people of a great community such as Nevada, I'm not saying we should throw all our money at it or, throw millions and millions into the pot, but, that's the jobs of big investors, to step in and help them with those big problems. But, I feel like it's time we all start pitching in a little more and helping out. There's plenty of ways that you yourself, an average Nevadan, could help out with the cause too. One of the first things, obviously, that comes to mind is donations, right? Find a local, shelter, or find a local food pantry, or any organization that helps against the fight, or helps with the fight against homelessness. Now, some organizations that have been shown to improve, to help out and give back to the community. Some parts here, as previously mentioned, where I've got my sources, like the National Alliance to End Homelessness. They've talked about the veterans, and they've talked about, how to help, and, general overall, they care about homelessness in America. You could donate on their page, you could give once or give monthly, or, you have other ways to give too. There's also Las Vegas Rescue Mission, homeless serviceness, service that gives, goods and dinners and beds and clothing and things like that to the homeless population. And they even have recovery programs to help those people put in those situations to get back up on their feet. Things such as well as the 22 Warrior Foundation, to help veterans, veterans across Nevada, help them get back on their feet, especially after everything, that they've done. Safe Nest is also a good one, to help. They help with assistance for domestic crisis, and really overall, there are a lot of groups you could donate to. You just, find the right one for you and donate, because you're helping out a really good cause. You're helping fight back against homelessness, fight back against, things people use to keep other people on the streets. And really, another thing here is that even if you don't have money, right? Because I myself, I'm a broke high school going into college student, and I do not by any means have money. There are a bunch of other things you could do. As you saw with little me earlier, I helped distribute and help cook for the local children at places like a food pantry or a food bank, or something like the Las Vegas Rescue Mission, to where maybe you volunteer, go in and help cook or help distribute things. Or this method is also very much so monetary involved, which involves donating stuff like food or water, if anything, to those food banks. If donations and all that, they're too pricey for you, they're too costly, whatever the circumstance, it's all right. As any little bit counts is all I'm saying. And really, at the end of the day, we should all be united and not divided in terms of this issue of homelessness, because you never know if someone you love or someone you knew are going through that problem. And it's always nice to reach out a hand and help out, because even if it's not all at once, really, whatever steps you are taking help lead the world to a better place and a better future for our kids, for our grandkids, for the future of our great country. As we wrap up here, I'd like to give special thanks to a few people. First off, my parents for raising me right and raising me to be, a good person, and to stand up for what I believe is right. Next off, who I'd like to thank is Miss Drell for giving me this opportunity to talk about this issue and to talk about this problem that is plaguing the United States. And I would like to thank the period 3-4 class of my multimedia communications 2/publications 2 class to mainly helping drive myself to become better. And I look up to all of y'all, and I've loved the community and the things we have created together. And I think hopefully this message across, the world will get to know, to love each other much more, and to draw closer as a community to help with this serious issue. I thank you for listening to this video, and please, whatever can be used to help, I thank you all so very much. Now, I think it is abundantly clear to everyone here in Las Vegas, Nevada, that we have a bit of an issue, and it's a glaring issue that I feel really needs to be addressed, and that is the homelessness issue. Now, the homelessness issue right here is an issue that stems all the way back to the 1900s, with a lot of crises involving financial stuff like the Great Depression, among other things, such as people losing their jobs after war, like after World War II, and all that stuff with veterans. That has left all states across the United States in a state of disarray. And it's even very much so apparent in Las Vegas, Nevada. There are over 6,566 people that are homeless on any given night here in Las Vegas. 794 of those are children, and 28% of people in Southern Nevada are chronically homeless. Now, I see that as a big problem. Do you? Do your senators? Well, let's talk about it.